Welcome to Think Pride. I am Kyriakos Gold, and tonight we're celebrating all the colors of the rainbow. How can we achieve greater visibility?
Is there a fine line between human rights and the actual law that we live in? What is human rights?
What is human rights for you? What is in your heart?
I keep hearing we've got a long way to go. We've got a long way to go. It's already here. We've got a long way to fight. There's still much more to do. I understand that concept. But how about if we look at it from a human rights perspective and see that, hey, it's about, as Rebecca said, visibility. It's just a matter of getting out there, showing yourself in the church or in your family or in society. That's it. And then, I don't know, maybe that's a way of educating others, perhaps, of showing who I truly am. And if there is a law that goes against me, then where does my human rights come into play?
I mean, absolutely. Look, I can be out there, obviously, and like to be, and am visible within that space and place. But it's also important to remember that there are many people within our communities that don't want or feel they need to be to such a bigger degree, because that's not who they are or a part of who they are. And I mean, I agree 100% with what you're saying, but that's different for every single one of us. And this is what makes it so much harder, is we are not a community, we're communities with lots of different spirits, energies and places and spaces that we come from. And we really have to keep listening. When you're saying about pride and how can we have more pride, I am coming out of the pandemic. I'm very proud to see the diverse level of pride that exists within our festivals and spaces and places. Like, as a cis gay man, we get a lot of the lion's share all the time. I'm excited once again with Midsumma Festival and other festivals refocusing on marginalised spaces and places that haven't had that attention and funding and have had to fight so much more. I want to see more of that diversity. I want to see more of that spirit, and we're seeing that in a huge way. Now we have to bring the community along with it to show those stories and those faces and those places. But the hard thing is there's lots of different levels for everyone, so we've got to create entry points for everybody that's accessible for them, which is really exhausting because we all do put ourselves out there to try and do that the best we can, and sometimes we fail.
So what does human rights mean then?
Todd?
No, I mean, I don't know.
It's quite a nuanced question, right? Because it's who's considered human in many of the cases, right? When we think about the vitriol that often is thrown at trans people, and I'm so sorry for having to bring it up again and again, but people don't consider them full-class humans. And I know what that's like. My family knows what's that like, because that's not the first time on these lands that rhetoric has been uttered. This idea that somebody isn't a full human. That said, I do work for a government that has been progressing quite a lot of the human rights within legislative frameworks. In Victoria, many people might not know, but we have a human rights charter that, if I can speak frankly, needs an update. We are in a different Victoria today than when that human rights charter was created. And so it's about updating those things to be reflective of who we are now, given the rights that we've gotten along the way. The other side of that, and if I can speak and bring it back to LGBTIQ+ community organisations, is, are we visible? Right? You all hailed me as some intersectional chief, which I love, right? But I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be, and I'm sick of being the exception to the rule. And so it's about thinking about how do we safely ask, non-people of colour to step away How do we ask, the boards of these organisations to reflect and hold a mirror up and say, gee, we're a bit colourless, because they are. And that's not a political opinion, that is fact when we look at the majority of LGBTIQ+ boards in Victoria, in Australia. Now, that's because of the pipeline approach that was built, right? When these organisations were being created in the 80s and the 90s, there was too much racism going on for people of colour to step up into those positions, right? So that it's not just an accident or a fluke that white people are the majority of those that control the power of LGBTIQ+ organisations. But no longer should that be the future.
Greater visibility of the community is done by us being seen in all communities. And what I mean by that is that when we have Midsumma Pride Month, you'll see much more people of the community out and about because of all the events. It would be great if there are events throughout the 365 days to a degree where it encourages people to feel safe about being seen. And that in everyday lives, the work we go to, we can be wearing our colours in a loud and proud way, and that we feel safe in everything that we do for 365 days. Visibility of media, publications that organisations do to promote clothing or whatever, we're seeing in images, we're seeing it on TV, we're seeing in sports, as integrated, not just stand out, but as integrated.
The whispers in the morning of lovers sleeping time, they are rolling on like thunder now as I look into your eyes. I hold on to your body, I feel each move you make. Your voice is still like a look at the love that I cannot forsake. Am I your lady, or am I your man? You know what, it doesn't matter, but whenever you reach for me, I'm gonna do all that I can. We're heading for something, somewhere I've never been. Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm ready to learn all about the power of love. The power of love. Lost is how I'm feeling whenever I lie in your arms. When the world outside is too much to take, oh, that'll end when I'm with you. And although there may be times when I feel like I'm far away, never wonder where I am, because I'm always here by your side. Am I your lady, or am I your man? It doesn't matter, cause whenever you reach for me, I'm gonna do all that I can. We're heading for something, somewhere I've never been. Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm ready to learn all about the power of love. The sound of your heart beating made it real suddenly. The feeling that I can't go on. Do you want to be notes? Do you want one? All right. Go on. It's like years away, yeah. Whenever you reach for me, I'm gonna do all that I can, all I can. We're heading for something, somewhere I've never been. Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm ready to learn all about the power I'm gonna do all that I can. Oh yeah. We're heading for something, somewhere I've never been. Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm ready to learn all about the power of love. Love.
Thank you everyone for thinking Pride with us. I'm Kyriakos Gold. Good night.